we're joined by the National Chairman of the Republican National Hispanic Assembly, Danny Vargas, who joins us directly from St. Paul, Minnesota. Buenas noches, Danny. Welcome to Destination Casablanca.
Muy buenas noches. Thank you for having me.
Well, first of all, I was talking to you before we went on the air, and you actually told me about, you're originally from where? You're, what part of the country, and where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. My family's from Puerto Rico. I live in Virginia now, right outside Washington, D.C.
So you're a Puerto Rican born in New York?
That's right.
Okay,
yeah,
interesting.
Typical New Yorican.
Okay, so how do you wind up in the Republican Party? That's not typical for Puerto Rican. You know, we have this dichotomy in where Puerto Rico were PNPs, which is a new progressive party there. How do you wind up as a real legitimate Republican? There's not too many Puerto Ricans in that party, are there?
I don't know. You'd be surprised. There are a lot of us here in Minneapolis. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I came to my political maturity when I joined the military, and Ronald Reagan was my commander-in-chief. I saw the world as it was. It's a big world out there, big dangerous place. We need to have a strong national defense to be able to make sure that America is secure. And then as I learned more, I saw that free market economy is what works. So I've based my political beliefs in a party that believes in free market economies and strong national defense. And as a Hispanic, I have traditional family values. So when you pull all those things together, that pretty much equals Republican.
In your capacity, in your official role as chairman of the National Assembly of the Republican Party, what is it that you bring into that party that they don't know about Latinos? I know that you advise them and you talk about different issues, specifically on Latino matters. How do you tell them to approach us? Is there a particular magic or a particular gimmick or a particular way of speaking to us? What is it that you bring to the Republican Party and John McCain in this campaign?
Well, I think, first of all, our organization has been around for about 34 years, and we've been fundamentally a grassroots organization. We've got state chapters in 20-some-odd states where we've got folks on the ground and doing grassroots activities, talking to folks about the core values and principles of the Republican Party, and doing it, knocking on doors, one person at a time, one family at a time. And that's how we're able to, at a community level, at a grassroots level, talk to folks and help inform the voting public about what the differences are between the two parties. I think too often folks vote out of momentum. You know, they vote Democratic because their family always has, or Republican because their family always had. We want folks to register to vote, to go out and vote, but do so in an informed, educated way. So that's one aspect of what we do. The other aspect is to be able to bring to the party infrastructure at the local and state level, particularly, sort of feedback as to what are the issues that most concern the Hispanic community.
So when you have all of these things that you've outlined right now, do people react to you, especially if you're talking to a Latino, Latina, y te dicen, pero ven acá, si esa gente son el partido de los ricos, esa gente no tiene que ver con nada con nosotros, ¿qué tú le dices?
Yo le digo que francamente los valores que compartimos como latinos, que son valores conservadores tradicionales, son los valores del Partido Republicano. Hard work, opportunity, education, family, faith, all these things are values that we share. Now, when you talk about being in the party of the rich, when we look back at the history of the party, it was Abraham Lincoln that started this party. It was folks like Teddy Roosevelt that had a free spirit. So it's a misnomer, it's a mischaracterization that says the party of the rich. It's the party of folks that want to be able to build a successful life for themselves and their families without having to depend on the government. And that's the Republican values that we share. We're not looking for a handout, we're looking for an opportunity to be able to create successful lives for ourselves. And I think that's the American dream that we all share.
If that's the case, and you've made a good argument for being a Republican, however, why is it that so many Latinos, so many of us, just don't get it? How come we don't feel like we're wanted in the Republican Party? What are we failing to understand, and yet we embrace the Democratic Party? I'm talking in generalities, talking about the majorities. What is it that we're missing about the Republican Party?
Well, I'll tell you this. In 2004, George W. Bush got 44% of the Hispanic vote. That doesn't mean that there was 44% that were registered Republicans. I think Hispanics, we have the benefit of voting for candidates as opposed to strictly for parties. You see in polls that there are more Hispanics that call themselves Democrats than Republican, but at the same time, you've got more Hispanics that call themselves conservative versus liberal. So I think it's going to be incumbent on any campaign, any candidate to go out there and communicate directly with the Hispanic community and tell them, what they plan to do about the future, what they plan to do about the issues that they care about. Because there are many. It's the economy, it's education, it's healthcare, it's security, it's immigration, it's all these issues that we care about. So the candidates and the campaigns have to talk to them directly, as opposed to it just being about the parties.
I'm sorry, Danny, when you come out on Thursday, what is it that we're going to look for? What are we going to see on the Republican platform? Your candidate, John McCain, telling us what is it that Latinos have? Is it a Latino agenda? Are we going to look at immigration solutions? Are we going to look at education, the economy? What is it that is going to say, my God, there's something I should really look at? Is there something that you expect to come out that will be attractive to Latinos that we can say, we got to take another look? Ese señor parece que está diciendo algo importante.
Well, I'll tell you, we are fortunate that we've got in Senator John McCain an outstanding candidate who has been a friend to the Hispanic community for a long, long time. Casualmente nació en Panamá. I don't know if you knew that. He was born in the Canal Zone.
Right.
So he has a long affinity, a long relationship with the Hispanic community and with Latin America in particular. So when you talk about John McCain, you're talking about someone who has the character, the credibility, the experience to actually take on some of the really tough issues that we're dealing with as a country and actually be able to achieve results. Not just talk about them in some theoretical way. He's got a 25-year record in the Congress and the Senate of being able to actually work in a bipartisan way to actually achieve stuff that we care about. So that's the kind of leader that we have, a person who's always put the best interests of the country first and foremost ahead of even political considerations. And specifically, he was the one that had the courage during the primaries to stand up and say that the Hispanic community in the United States are all children of God. We need to be respectful of the fact that they are hard-working, patriotic Americans. So we're going to be talking about the values that we share. We're going to be talking about the fact that Hispanics have played an important role in our country's history from the Revolutionary War on into today and into the future.
I assume that you've talked to your candidate, John McCain, the candidate of the Republican Party. So I ask you, when was the last time you talked to him, and what specifically did you talk about?
Last time I spoke to him briefly was to congratulate him on a wonderful speech in Washington, D.C. before Naleo. He's done a great job of being able to reach out not only to the Hispanic community, but to all Americans. And not just traditional red state voters, but folks in some of the areas that are considered typically blue states, because he does really have a message that's inclusive. He wants to be the president of everyone, of all Americans. So it's not just a red versus blue strategy, it's an American 50-state strategy that he's going to be focused on. God bless him.
Danny Vargas, and we hope God blesses all of you. I know that you want to lay out what your platform is, what your party stands for. You are the national chairman of the Republican National Hispanic Assembly. I'll be interested to see exactly what portion of this really applies to Latinos and Hispanics across the nation, and I'm sure that our listeners here at HITN, our viewers, will actually be interested. Danny Vargas, we wish you luck. Todavía tú el coquí lo escuchas o el coquí tuyo habla inglés.
Acabo de llegar de Puerto Rico, estaba por 2 semanas en Yauco y en Ponce y en San Juan, así que me encantó, me fascinó.
Bueno, Danny Vargas, thank you so much for being with us tonight. National Chairman of the Republican National Hispanic Assembly, one of our own at the Republican National Convention in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Muchísimas gracias.